Okay.
Hi guys, good morning everyone.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? How are you, Ella?
I'm feeling really good. It's a short week this week because of Monday bank holiday, but that doesn't make it any easier in terms of stress levels and workflow. But today we will talk about burnout. So hopefully I'll remember some things from this conversation and apply it in my own life.
Yeah, that's always great to have a good
It's a
reminder.
nice intention, isn't it? Good intention is everything at the beginning of the week.
You know what's really good for maintaining your stress levels?
No,
You want to see?
say that again.
Do you want to see?
Of course, a dog. Is that what you're gonna say? Yes, 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 yes. I'm aware of the power of animals in the workplace. I
Yes.
work somewhere where the dogs are allowed, and I think they probably are good in lowering anxiety and stress for the owners, but I can't comment on. I mean, I can. For me, it makes no difference because it's not my dog. Apart from the occasional bark, on the floor, where you can't focus on your work. But I'm sure for the owners, it's lovely. It's a lovely self self help, isn't it? So, guys, today we're talking about burnout and relationships, part two. How exciting! Um, Kasia and myself, are going to start from a brief introduction first. And then we are going to move on to discuss some of the hidden signs of burnout, and how burnout affects our relationship. And we are going to help you create a self care plan, or talk to you about some of the methods or strategies that you can use in your self care in order to relieve that negative impact burnout has on your relationship. So let's start with introduction. Maybe I can start. So I'm Ella. Some of you might know me already. I'm a founder of Virtually Unbreakable, a company dedicated to creating mental health resources for families, adults, children, adolescents. Lots of my products are dedicated to couples as well. So we're talking about relationships. I'm a podcast host of Virtually Unbreakable podcast, which is streamed across many podcasting directories every Wednesday. And this morning, we actually had a new episode coming out. So, Kasia, over to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Kasia. I am London-based psychologist specializing in mental well-being, primarily burnout prevention. So I'm author of a book dedicated to that topic, Burnout Recovery Guide for Female Entrepreneurs, which is available on Amazon. And I work individually with clients using different modalities, such as yoga, mindfulness, theta healing, to really help them implement the well-being strategy and make the world and life better experience, more happier and balanced. So that's it from my side. Welcome to our today's live show. So Ella, let's jump into it. Um, we're going to focus on burnout in relationships, how to spot it, what are the signs to look out for.
So maybe I can give a brief context of why we're discussing it, actually, because
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about
some of you might be aware that May is a Mental Health Awareness Month, and this month the theme is anxiety. And anxiety is something that is actually present in our lives pretty regularly for most of us. And you could argue and say that young people are especially prone to anxiety these days. But I think stress and anxiety affects all of us. So we have had a live back in April where we started discussing burnout. Kasia is an experienced psychologist and burnout prevention expert. I create tools for people who are in relationships or looking for a relationship, looking to improve dynamics between each other in modern relationships. So we combined the two topics, and today we are going to be discussing how burnout affects your relationship. So, hidden signs of burnout. There are many of them actually, and some of them are really tricky to spot and can be often misunderstood. By many of us. We can confuse them with anger when our partner is acting in a cynical way. Kasia, do you want to start discussing some of the signs and symptoms you have noticed, you've observed in your clients?
Right. So basically, when things are changing, when there is a change, when we are in a nice and happy relationships, we get along, we communicate well, we enjoy doing things, and suddenly it stops. Suddenly something changes, and we cannot really determine what it is. So that
Mm,
is already information for us that it might be burnout, right? What are we looking for specifically? So changes in the energy levels. If your partner or yourself are usually like, a happy, energetic person, and then suddenly you're just super sluggish and, sleeping on the sofa all the time, or
mm.
just having no energy at all. I mean, it can be caused by multiple things, and burnout is one of them. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that is an easy one to miss, isn't it? Because if you think about it, like, what's wrong with you? I'm tired. You tired. You're tired all the time. You should go to sleep early. Like, how many of us have had those conversations with our partners,
yeah,
um, and commented on their energy level, and then perhaps not contributing in the home life, or not being very active, or what's the word I'm looking for? Able to notice when something needs doing, right? When
yeah,
we catch our partner acting in a really, like you say, sluggish, passive way, where they are just kind of just dragging their body from one room to another and not contributing to family life or our relationship. That's a big one.
yeah.
What else should we mention here? I think cynicism is the way they interact with us, right?
Yeah. Emotional tension. So they might be nervous, or they might be, yes, cynical. Like just replying to us in like very basic way, not really speaking much, just being not very pleasant, right? So changes in your normal way of operating. So we all know how our partners normally are, and then when
Mm.
they turn into like a weird version of themselves that we cannot even recognize, that is an alarming sign that it tells us, okay, let's look deeply and carefully into this.
Mm. What about when they withdraw from social life, right? That's
Yeah,
a big one. I think, and that one can be, taken for tiredness, or just lack of rest in their own head, and can be confused with that, but not allowing enough time to rest and restore. But actually, this withdrawal from social activities, social events, and not engaging with friends, not being interested in our life, but instead behaving like they just want to be on their own. That's one of the hidden signs, I would say, as well.
yeah, definitely. And being like, asking like, why are you not interested in socializing and everything? And Because if
Mm.
the sign of burnout would be like, when you are just overstimulated, overwhelmed, like
Mhm.
if it is too much for you to be
Yeah.
around people, to make the effort, it can be too much.
Mm.
When it is like that, it's good to encourage the partner to communicate, to say like, listen,
Mm.
it's normal, we all feel like it at times, take a break, just do something that will restore your energy.
Yeah.
There's, especially men, they can start feeling like, guilty, or saying like, oh my god, there's something wrong with me, and then they become quite either aggressive, or frustrated.
Mm.
It's important to support them, to say like, listen, it's normal, there's nothing wrong with you, right? And it's not your fault, because if we have men with a huge ego, with perfectionistic tendencies, being like always the alpha male, the super overachiever, and suddenly the person doesn't feel like doing anything, he will start blaming himself, saying like, what the hell, I'm not good enough, what's happening? And then
Mhm.
it really turns into either depression or
Yeah.
aggression.
We need to be careful of that, right? So if we have a partner who we know has this type A personality or perfectionistic tendencies, we need to encourage them to open up and talk about what they struggle with, rather than ignore, take it as tiredness and just ignore the problem.
Yeah.
Because let's not forget, burnout in most cases starts really small,
Mm.
starts with lack of energy. And then when it's not managed properly, it turns into a chronic stress, which becomes burnout. And then on and then once burnout is present in our life, it really affects our relationships. And it affects it in ways in which we don't know how to manage it. Most of us are really clueless.
Yeah.
So I think what I want to highlight here is that as a woman, um, if you are in a traditional female male relationship and your partner is male and he has this type A personality, and he struggles with stress, but he's acting like putting a brave face on and acting like he's got it all together.
Mm.
Um, you know, in order to for your relationship to be a happy one and to thrive in this relationship, in order for both of you to be happy, and for your children not potentially not to be affected, you need to look out for those small signs. And I know from my own life that cynicism is something, and defensiveness is
Mm.
something that was really present
Mm.
in our struggle with burnout and chronic stress. And at the time, I didn't know that my partner had burnout, and I didn't know how to help him. But he was struggling more and more every week. He was struggling more. And that was evident in the way he communicated with me, in the way he was engaging with his friends. There was also no proper quality rest. Because I think the tricky bit, Kasia, is that when you have burnout, you know something's wrong with you, but you also kind of feel guilty when you're taking a rest. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
So you're in this vicious cycle of trying to work but not having energy to work. And what do you do then? Like what is your recommendation?
Well, yeah, the awareness. It's so good that you've mentioned that, because yes, on one hand we have this super achiever alpha personality, that I have to do this, I have to compete, I have to be the best, I
Yeah.
have to have these goals met and whatever. And then you basically have the burnout, which is like, lack of energy, but also and stress, but also the lack of sense of accomplishment, right?
Mm,
Same time you feel like, oh my god, I'm not good enough, whatever I
yeah.
do, I'm useless. So it's a
Yeah.
really tricky combination, because on one hand you feel like, oh my god, I have to prove myself, I have to do more, and then you don't have any energy, so you become super frustrated or angry, and like, how are you supposed to manage that? Yeah.
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's the, and I would say, like, this is the personalization and the reduced, like, I'm not good enough, whatever I do, I'm useless. The
Mhm.
sense of reduced sense of accomplishment are really the signs of that will tell you this is burnout. This is not
Yeah.
just being tired, this is not,
Yeah.
whatever. So this is something you should be looking for, and then let's talk what to do. What to
Yeah.
do.
But also, I think when this happens, like it's not just how they behave, let's remember, it's not just how they behave, it's how they speak to us and others. So in their language, we will see lots of hints for chronic stress. And
Yeah.
chronic stress is no joke, guys. And I've had a speaker on my podcast last week, a single dad. Podcast is actually published this morning, so you can listen to it on Spotify. And he's admitted he ended up in hospital 3 times in his life because of chronic stress.
Mm.
And imagine, with a suspected heart attack. So imagine he's a single dad of 2 daughters. Imagine the loss, God forbid, if he passed away, right? If he did have a heart attack or he had something else. But it took 3 attempts for him to take it seriously and create a new self-care plan.
Yeah.
So, what our men need from us is this attunement and a gentle, being conscious of the fact that they are perhaps not taking enough time to rest, that they perhaps do not have a regular sport they do every weekend, that perhaps they're just sitting in front of TV drinking beer or alcohol, then don't talk to anyone. This is not healthy lifestyle. Constant work, and then no physical activity, no time in nature, no open conversations with friends, no socializing can lead to burnout. So
Yes.
let's provide our partners with an extra support, and let's start those conversations about, what are you struggling with? Tell me about your day. How was your week? Is there anything I can help you with? Because I'm concerned about you. You're not resting enough. You don't want to go out. And coming from a place of love and not judgment or patronizing
Yeah.
can be super supportive and can really help them find that peace and create that better routine. So yeah, let's talk about routine. I mean, what works? It's something different for everyone, right? For some people, it's yoga, it's running. For other people, it might be a walk or a conversation with a friend. It really depends on individual needs. What did you find, Kasia, works for your clients with regards to tackling burnout? What kind of self?
See, my approach is very much individual. I look into the person, and I'm not saying, like, listen, everybody has to do yoga because that's what I enjoy. No, it has to be something like, that you enjoy, that works for you. It can be walking, it can be swimming, it can be any form of movement that you actually like and that you are likely to do regularly, right?
Right.
So if you, I'm not telling go and start running the
Yeah.
marathon, go for walks, go and
Yeah.
disengage, go and get a fresh air,
Mm.
get a dog and walk the dog, go and be in nature, be in nature, because nature is very healing and soothing by itself.
It's
So
very restoring, isn't it?
yeah,
Our energy is really restored and that's regardless of our age, our sex, our nationality. Nature is soothing and helping everyone. It's actually a very simple tip, but we are regularly underestimate the power of nature,
yeah,
and we don't spend enough time outdoors.
Yeah.
And that
So
is very powerful.
yeah, and even there are studies that prove that being around water. I'm not saying you have to swim in water. I don't have to.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be, I don't know, Wim Hof type of cold water swimming. Just being around water, looking at water, smelling the water, it already impacts your nervous system. It calms you down. It reduces stress. So go for a walk along the beach side if you can. Just look at the water. This is very, very soothing. There are even applications for our phones where you listen to these soothing background noises, yeah, and very often you hear the sound
Nature
waves,
sounds, yes.
ocean, beachside, whatever.
Mhm.
So even if you don't have access to water, there are other ways of, like, introducing it to your life. Go
Yeah.
on YouTube and find a music that will, show, that will bring you the water, to your room, and you can hear it. So just there's always something you can
Yeah.
do.
I just had a thought actually. I mean, because I just want to mention, so I know we are talking about this, and some of you might be listening to this and thinking this is so self-explanatory. Isn't this obvious? We don't need this advice. But guys, the thing is that uh, there is what they call cost of living crisis. The prices are going up. And why is this significant? This is significant because we have to work longer hours. Many of us have to work longer hours to make the same amount of money. If we have to work extra hard to prove ourselves in our companies, and this is regardless whether we work for someone else or we work for ourselves, if the prices are going up, and psychologically we would as humans think, oh, I better roll up my sleeves and get on with it. I have to pay for mortgage this month, I have to pay for school fees for my kids, um, and so on. And men have that tendency where they just throw themselves, and women as well actually, but they just throw themselves in the deep end of work. And the thing is that the more we work, there's always more work to do. So actually creating that healthy self-care routine, whether we are men or woman, can really serve us and our goals long term, because it will impact our productivity.
Mm,
So we might not see it like that. We might think, oh, I don't have time to go for a walk. I need to get on with, I have a meeting with my manager. Or I don't have time to go to yoga this evening. I have so much work to do. Well, the thing is that if you create a schedule that you inform your manager about, um, and you explain in your next meeting, I found that if I finish 10 minutes earlier on Thursday or whatever, and I can attend my bi-weekly yoga session, or I could work from home that day and actually do something for myself, the next day I work much better.
mm,
So let's just remember about this hidden impact of self-care, because it's the regularity of it that
mm,
really impacts the quality of our life. I'm trying to think if there's anything else to mention with regards to the self-care plan. Um, I think we pretty much covered most of it. I think diet and rest
yeah.
is, again, it seems self-explanatory, but diet has a huge impact on how we feel as well. Do you have any story, Kasia, that you can share with regards to where the transformation is coming from sleep, more sleep, or better diet in your
It's
clients?
huge. I mean, these are the basic things, and you hear it all around. And I'm really happy to
Mhm.
serve it as a reminder, because it's very, very powerful. Yet it is so simple. So all it takes is for us to implement it in our life, to really go to sleep earlier in order to have,
Mm.
like, more hours of sleep, to do the routine, and it intertwines with food, like, not eating too late, not having heavy meals in the evening, being very mindful with alcohol. The more careful you will be, the better quality of sleep you will have, and then the better you will feel.
The next
um,
day. Yeah.
you
And
can
work.
avoid you can avoid having like a brain fog the whole morning. You can have a beautiful, switched on morning when you get so much done. When you have a brain fog, because like you didn't have enough quality sleep, you throw yourself to work, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm making so many mistakes. So
Exactly.
it's really stupid. So it's very simple, but our self-care plan can look like establishing morning and evening routine, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You start small. You make one little goal of like, okay, this month I'm going to sleep half an hour earlier. I'm waking up earlier, and in the morning I'm going out for a walk, or I'm doing a few exercises.
Mm,
Something, do small changes, and then really they will impact you and your whole perspective on your work. Because going for yoga class or exercising or whatever, what it does, it brings awareness to you, and it forces you to really evaluate, like, what is important, what are the important
mm,
things in my life, why am I doing it?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And fundamentally, we all want happiness in our lives.
Yeah.
We all want happiness, we all want freedom, we all want happy relationships. So we need to remember that, we are not born to go to work and work our hardest. We are here to enjoy life as well, and to create the sort of routine that serves us in our lives. So finding balance between work and life, and finding time to network with people and meet new people is very good for the soul as well. But you've mentioned something important, self-awareness.
Mhm.
Did you find that there is any pattern that women, I mean, it's a myth, I don't know, I haven't specifically seen it that way, but would you say men are genuinely less self-aware than women are?
They are, and very good example are the guys that get into yoga, and I've seen it throughout, my practice, which is
Mm-hmm.
takes us back 20 years back, and I've seen it in all different countries in the world where I've been living and practicing yoga. That generally, yes, guys are like super oblivious, and they're like, oh, I cannot be bothered, to be self-aware. What the hell? Once they become self-aware and start doing yoga and start doing breathing exercises and start really working on themselves, they become super serious about it. They become like an authority figure.
They
Then
become
they will
religious about it, don't they?
they are religious, they're preaching. I've been on this
Yeah.
recently, with one of those guys that suddenly became like more mindful of the diet because he has cancer. So now he's really scared. So like, okay, now I better eat porridge. You know what, Kasia, is good for you? You should be eating porridge. I'm like, really? Actually, I've
Oh,
been eating porridge for the last
yeah.
10 years. So it is like that. And it's great because it works for them, and it's a little bit funny for me. But yeah, that's my
Yeah, but
observation.
the main point is, like, why does it have to come to a really bad, why do they have to end up in a hospital, on a hospital bed?
Yeah.
Why do they have to? They don't have to, that's the thing. So if we all pay more attention in our relationships to people around us, how do they behave, how do they talk, how do they engage, do they seem okay, asking some open-ended questions. And in fact, we've got a couple of questions prepared here which might be helpful. Have there been changes in their jobs? Have they taken on more responsibility?
Mhm.
Has their position changed? Have they been open about their struggles with you or with other people? And what has there been more financial strain on the family? And if so, how can that impact your health and your partner's health? It might be worth to have that conversation, because together, um coming from a place of love and not judgment, you can think about solutions. of how to manage that extra financial strain better.
Yeah.
Um, and you can talk about what role can you play in helping your partner recover from burnout or chronic stress. Um, it all starts with open-ended questions and with a gentle, kind discussion around the topic and coming from a place of service.
Yeah.
Um, and it can really transform our relationships hugely.
Yeah. And you've said that before, and I'm just going to highlight it here. Be like a psychologist, meaning drop the judgment. Just be
Yeah,
there and listen and
that's right.
support without judgment. And
Mm,
just this thing will really transform your relationships in a huge way. Huge way.
mm. And sometimes this is again obvious, but it's worth reminding people perhaps that reminding your partner um, to gain a bit of perspective by saying, I've noticed changes in the way you act, in the way you talk. I'm worried about you. Is there anything I can do to support you? Um, and tell me, please tell me. I want to help. I want our relationship to be a happy one. Relationship problems in relationships, guys, are not the fault of the other person. A relationship is like a dance between two people. It's not you, it's not them, it's what happens in between.
Mm.
So it's the dynamic that you are also impacting by the things you do and the things you don't do. So whether you're a woman or a man, you have impact, huge impact on your relationship dynamics. So if you want a more fulfilling relationship, you need to start from thinking, what can I do better? What role can I play? And yeah, have open discussion and show kindness and love to yourself and others. And it can be very very positive. I just want to mention one last thing at the end. We're coming to the end of this live. Cognitive distortions. So I know we mentioned, Kasia, about how they speak to us changes, right?
Yeah.
They can get really snappy and quite unpleasant. When our partner has a burnout, they can be not a nice person to be around by no stretch of imagination.
Mhm.
And they are also prone. I mean, we are all prone to using cognitive distortions in our life, but they are using them religiously, they're using them regularly without realizing. And what are cognitive distortions? So some of you might be familiar, but in life and in relationships, our language really shapes our experience. And cognitive distortions are distortions. So they are the way we perceive the world, which is not accurate, which is exaggerated in one way or another. So they could be, so the definition is they're exaggerated patterns of thought that are not based on facts and can result in people viewing things more negatively than they really are. And people might attribute negative and unhelpful thoughts about themselves, about other people, and the world around them. Just to throw it out there, a couple of them are confirmation bias. Okay. Um, there are the totalistic thinking, so very black and white thinking, and using words like always, never. Um, there are also fundamental attribution error, where we see our behavior as healthy and normal, but so our behavior we can see sometimes as contextual and circumstantial. So for example, when I was waiting for a bus, or I was stuck in a traffic for a long time, um I and I'm rushing to my meeting, I might be stressed out, right? And we come to the meeting and we're a bit irritated, not in the best mood, and we feel that we are excused for that because we've just been in a traffic, or we just somebody was just rude to us, and that's okay. But when somebody else does the same thing, we see that as they are a rude person, or they are a bad person. They're always rude to me. Generalizations, negative thinking. We will include the link to more information on cognitive distortions underneath this video, and also the link to both of our profiles should any of you be interested in working together in tackling burnout, and improving relationships. So I think that's all from me. Kasia, would you like to add anything else at the end?
No, I think cognitive distortions is a topic on its own. We could
Yeah.
do a separate live on that.
Mm.
I would like to finish by just summarizing and inviting those of you who are looking for support, for who are ready to embark on this journey of implementing self-care routines, well-being routines, preventing burnout, fighting with burnout. Um, I am available. You can reach me on wellbeingstrategist.com, and I will also show Ella's website. Ella is available as well. I strongly recommend you listen to her podcast because it's a fabulous way of learning a lot about yourself, about your family dynamics, about your partnership, and just becoming a better person in all those areas. And
We are here for you guys. We are here to serve you. If you need help, it doesn't have to be many hours working together. If you feel like you're lacking resources, you feel stuck, you don't know where to start, reach out to us, and we can start the conversation there and see how we can help you.
yeah, so that's brilliant. For we'll just very quickly share in the comment which we have from Edward. Embracing the concept of small steps to initiate routine improvements. Good advice, thank you. Yeah. So yeah, it is all about small steps. Yeah, just making a little change. Do not overwhelm yourself, saying like, oh my God, now I'm starting my great well-being lifestyle, and then it just becomes too much because
That's right.
your body it has to get used to things. So
But
smaller.
it's the regularity. That
Yeah,
regularity, even if it's 10 minutes a day, even
yeah,
if you're taking a 10, 15 minutes during your busy day to look out of the window or go and get some fresh air outside and focus on your breathing, doing some deep breathing instead of staring at your screen during your break, right? So it's the regularity that makes huge difference, and your partner will be very grateful to you for that, for those changes.
yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching and see you soon. Thank you,
See
Ella.
you soon. Bye. Bye bye.